Everything kicks off at Janan University on a totally normal afternoon. A guy named Song is slacking off, watching a flick since he is feeling under the weather. A monster tries to jump scare him, but he just yawns. Honestly, it is way too boring. Even though he is sick, he wasn't really sleepy until he got a ping that he had been dragged into something. Some guy calling himself Lord of the Yellow Mountain wanted to be friends. The nickname was weird, but Song figured it was just a classmate and hit accept. Right away he got another alert. He was being shoved into a chat group. The guy decided to join in even though the meds had him drifting off. A message popped up telling him to say hi, but honestly, he crashed hard. Meanwhile, the group chat was blowing up. Everyone was buzzing because Lord of the Yellow Mountain had finally brought in a new member. Naturally, the resident pervert was asking if the newbie was a girl and demanding she post photos of her stats. The group told him he better watch his mouth or he would answer to the guy from the Yellow Mountain. A red-haired guy pops up on screen, looking totally spooked. He slams his desk and screams he will make everyone feel the fury of his blade. Another guy just brushes him off and dares him to a duel. The redhead is known as Saber and he is a beast, but he knows he has zero chance against the guy who challenged him. Everyone starts trolling him. They are all still obsessing over the new member. Saber is left totally embarrassed while everyone waits for the first message from the newbie. That is when Song finally wakes up, thinking he remembers joining a group, but the whole thing felt super sketchy. He checks his phone, 72 messages already. He was kind of impressed. But reading all the talk about superpowers and epic battles, he realized he had been added to a bunch of total lunatics. Which was fine, honestly, since he was into weirdos anyway. He just wanted to know who this Lord of the Mountain guy was. Little did he know, joining this group was about to flip his entire life. Next morning, training. He is feeling pretty down, thinking lately he had just given up on every dream he ever had. He was only studying to study. So, scrolling through those insane chat logs was actually pretty funny. Back home, he is back to his movie, dying of sleep. All those horror flicks were getting so dull, he decides to crash, dreaming about saving a princess and playing the hero. Back in the group chat, they are asking why Yellow Mountain dragged this kid in. He claims the person he added is a genius, but nobody is buying it. Then it hits him, he messed up the number by 1 digit. He added the wrong guy and admits the spot meant for a genius girl went to some random student instead. The guy who was asking for photos is crushed now that he realizes he flirted with a dude. Now the group is starting to demand they kick the kid out. The Lord of the Yellow Mountain sits there, furious. He'll lose face if he just kicks the kid out. Instead, he tries divination. He channels his energy, eyes locked hard on an old notebook. He starts peering into the future, or so he thinks. The issue, he is absolutely hopeless at it. Every single attempt goes sideways. He can't predict a thing. He's totally lost. Because of that uncertainty, that gnawing doubt, he tells everyone to just let the boys stay for now. People start grumbling, but he shuts them down, claims he has bigger problems to solve. Back in his room, the main character lies in bed, feeling his body getting weaker by the second. As usual, he checks the group chat and suddenly, it hits him. He was added by mistake. Some of these guys even have daughters. He thought he'd be bored of this group within a day, but 10 days have already passed. And he wakes up again, feeling restless. First thing in the morning, he checks what everyone is saying. They take it all so seriously, it's almost believable. He gets a message from the medicine master claiming he's whipped up a basic elixir. The boy is stunned. This guy usually just sends one word, but now he's written a whole essay. By now, he's got everyone's personality figured out. The Northern River Cultivator, always online and completely unhinged. The triple crazy. The Saber guy is a total troublemaker, also glued to his screen. The 7th clan guy wants to brawl with everyone, never leaves the chat. The medicine master doesn't talk much, but he's always there. The vagrant monk, he only ever sends emojis. And the only one the boy is sure is a woman, Soft Feather, is just as addicted as the rest. Medicine master shares the perfect recipe. Our boy watches the whole process. It's actually pretty interesting. He starts looking up the ingredients. Some are common, easy to find anywhere. But others, he's never even heard of them. He starts wondering if these guys are just delirious. Could they be talking about things that don't even exist? He's genuinely worried someone is going to try to brew some idiotic poison. He starts typing a message, ready to tell them all to stop. But right before he hits send, someone drops a smiley face. They say the recipe worked perfectly. The medicine master thanks them, and our protagonist is just confused. That someone actually made this body-tempering elixir, he's wary now. He starts jotting down the whole recipe, convinced it must be a slow-acting poison. Maybe it won't kill them instantly, but it's definitely going to do some damage. He decides to ask his cousin later. In the meantime, he just hopes nobody drops dead. Meanwhile, in a place called Butterfly Spirit, a girl is walking on water. She says she'll use the old man's timing to escape. She needs to track down a ghost. A ghost she is absolutely desperate to find. Then we see his cousin and his mother whispering about how insane this recipe is. They're already talking about having the boy committed. Our boy wakes up, heart pounding. It was just a nightmare. Best not to say a word. If he tells anyone, they'll think he's lost his mind. The sun is out, bright and clear. Should he head out for a run? Maybe later. First, he's got to crush a few matches in League of Legends. A quick pentakill later. It is noon. He closes the game. His phone screen lights up. The group chat is flooded again. The guy from the Northern King claims his recipe worked perfectly. Someone else is calmly making tea, complaining about a monk who only spams emojis. The self-proclaimed savior is begging the girl, Soft Feather, to message him. They are all asking where he went. He claims another brother stopped by and ended up getting beaten up. Soft Feather asks what he really wants. He wants to visit her. She calls him an old man. Poor guy, he's totally devastated. Our protagonist just laughs at their bizarre drama. He stays silent, lurking. But why are there so many weirdos here? And why do they seem to take this nonsense so seriously? He starts to wonder, is this real, or is he losing it too? Recalling those vivid dreams, he knows he cannot end up like them. He goes to chat, but Northern Guy and South Clan Guy are already arguing. They are talking about something going down in City H and a sudden advancement. City H is close by. Could he actually see something from here? He pulls at his hair. He is going crazy just believing their wild talk. He steps onto the balcony, sure that no lightning or tribulation will strike. It is such a beautiful day out. There is no way it could happen. A swordsman tells a girl the 16th is almost here. She calls him 7th and says she is ready to go. He heads to the bookstore. Every time he dives into a story, time flies. The hours just melt away. The sun is blazing now. It feels more like midsummer than spring. He hands the book over. The clerk grins. 1 yuan fine for the delay. Then, out of nowhere, a massive crack of thunder shakes the ground. Everyone freezes, startled. Our protagonist stares up, confused. Above City X, dark clouds are rolling in. The sun is gone. People in the street are whispering about how sudden the storm hit. Our boy Song thinks the whole thing is beyond strange. On a nearby rooftop, a little kid stands tall, arms stretched wide. He is screaming about receiving the power of the heavens. He looks like a total idiot, shouting at the sky right in front of him. Then, just as fast as they came, the clouds clear, the sun returns. Song wonders if those thunderclaps were just a total hallucination. The kid runs off, yelling that he is finally immortal. Song recalls the group messages. That event, it came from City H. Was it actually real? He stares at his phone, questioning his own sanity. He is just as deluded as that kid who thinks he is immortal. Seeing the kid get scolded for being a fool, he realizes he is losing it too. He plans to ditch the group the second his cousin confirms the remedy is fake. That girl from the rooftop just walked by him looking battered but clearly powered up. It wasn't easy, but he finally sends the recipe home, asking his cousin to check it. If the stuff is lethal, he'll stay in the group. He can't let anyone die. He clicks onto his PC and his jaw drops, 99 notifications waiting for him. He's itching to leave, but his curiosity, it's way too strong to just walk away. Someone in the chat is asking if the new member leveled up without any hitches. Then the guy calling himself Master of Trigrams claims his divination says it's all good, but everyone trusts his readings so little they're convinced the girl got wrecked. They're begging anyone near City H to go check if she's still breathing. The group consensus is brutal. Whatever the seer says, the truth is the exact opposite. Our guy just laughs, thinking these people must have been tight for a long time. The murdering king starts pressing for anyone in City H, but no one's claiming it. Song knows he's nearby, but he doesn't know these people, and honestly, getting mixed up with these lunatics sounds like a recipe for disaster. Then Ben Soft Feather drops that she's heading to City J, right past his location. He perks up, realizing she's about to pass right by his city. The group agrees to let her check on the girl, though they're still worried sick. They're terrified of the divination. If the seer says good fortune, it's gotta be bad. The seer slams his desk, furious at the insults, and challenges the tea guy to a duel. The tea guy accepts without hesitation, while our protagonist just watches the chaos. He's wondering if these maniacs will really meet at Xingxin Palace for a fight. He pictures them clashing right there in the open. Like a dragon and a tiger, he shakes his head, wondering if he's losing his mind. A new day, and he fires up the PC to find headlines about that massive lightning strike. He ignores the news, but a message pops up from his campus feed instead. It talks about a local gang of bullies getting completely wiped out. Everyone is dying to know who took out those bastards since they had so many enemies. Our boy doesn't seem to care, even though that lightning storm is still haunting him. He decides to check the group chat one more time, still meaning to leave for good. But get this, everyone is online again. Do these people ever actually sleep? Then, at some random waterfall, a guy suddenly sneezes out of nowhere. It's the Northern River cultivator, claiming someone must be thinking about him. The medicine master drops a photo of a strange plant into the chat. Northern River recognizes it instantly as a venomous dragon seed and asks what's up. The alchemist admits he's been hunting for one of those. He asks the guy to keep an eye out and deliver it if he finds one. Seeing the word venom makes our protagonist shiver. This stuff sounds dangerous. He scrolls up and sees them discussing how someone in City H cleared out a crowd. Apparently, a group was wiped out, but miraculously, no one actually died. That is when it hits him. He links their talk to those punks who got trashed at his school. It's close to City H and involved a pile of delinquents. It has to be them, right? He shakes it off. He's definitely losing it. Reading way too much into these random coincidences, he thinks. He heads out for a run, anything to clear his head and forget those people. Especially those wild lightning bolts and the fairy who just rolled into town. Meanwhile, at the airport, phones are buzzing nonstop. It's pure chaos. Everyone's staring. They've never seen a woman this beautiful walk through these halls. She's glued to her screen, muttering about how much she hates places like this. Too many people, too easy to get lost. She's checking the gossip online. Soft Feather is there in the chat, saying she's finally hit the city. But she's totally turned around. She was supposed to meet up with MR7. He's a no-show, though. Someone suggests GPS, and our protagonist just laughs at that. He's shaking his head. They're forgetting the kind of world they're actually in. They should be talking about old school maps and compasses, not some digital GPS. Soft Feather admits she tried the tech, but she's still completely lost. Someone jokes that she should just fly out. Our boy lets out a laugh. These people never change, casually talking about flying right through the city. The Northern River guy asks for her destination and she aims for Ghost Lamp Temple. Luoxing Street. The name hits the protagonist. It rings a distant bell. Soft Feather is still scanning her phone when a taxi driver pulls up. He offers a lift and she asks if he knows the Ghost Lamp Temple. He's never even heard of it. He asks for the street name instead. She mentions Luoxing Street, and he lights up. He actually lives right there. Still, the guy's got no clue about any temple. She just shrugs. Slinging her bag over her shoulder, she decides that street is good enough. The driver looks a bit stunned, but he gets her moving down the road. She updates the chat. She's officially heading toward the temple. Alone in the back seat, she's lost in her own thoughts for a while. Over at the foodie paradise, the air is thick with the smell of street food. Our protagonist stands there, front and center, trying to pin the name. Then it clicks. This is the Luoxing Street district. He remembers Soft Feather heading this way, but surely it's a common name. There's got to be more than one street like this in the city. A few guys on a bench are rating girls walking by. Honestly, pretty gross. Until one of them lets out a shout, a perfect 100 points. It's Soft Feather, suitcase in hand, walking straight into view. Our boy feels his heart skip a beat as she breezes right past him. He's left reeling. Even he can't help but agree, she's a perfect 100. The blonde guy on the bench stands up, bragging that he's gonna make a move. He struts toward her, telling the guys to watch how a pro does it. 5 seconds later, he's back, practically crying. He didn't have the guts. She's just too beautiful to even approach. Our guy laughs it off, ducking into a butcher shop to grab some supplies. As he steps back out, he bumps into Soft Feather again. Coincidence or fate? He bows his head quickly, feeling like he's losing his mind lately. But then, he hears someone mention a ghost temple nearby. That catches his ear. He looks back and catches her walking away. Is it really her? He starts to wonder. He checked his phone, saw her latest mention waiting there. She reached the street, surrounded by way too many people. She left the airport hours ago. He knew she was on the wrong road. Apparently, she mixed up that street with one in City J again. The kid doesn't believe in coincidences. No way, he thought. There is no way it is Soft Feather. Then a message pinged. He tapped it, and we jump back to when she recorded it. She sounded unsure because the Northern River guy wasn't replying yet. She was walking by as he played her voice message. She turned, realized. It was the exact clip she had just sent. She started wondering if that boy, looks like a teenager, was actually a senior in the group. He smelled her perfume. She stepped right up to his face, asking if he belongs to the 9 Provinces group. He stumbled back, asking if she was Soft Feather. She confirmed, then asked for his Taoist name. He knew she was around 19. But calling him senior? Really weird. She was their radiant star. He wondered why she thought he was ancient. He had no clue what this Taoist name thing was, so he just gave his real name, Song Zuhan. Telling her to forget the Taoist label, she said she understood. Some people just like to hide their status. He asked her to stop calling him senior, just call him Song. She said that would be disrespectful. He told her it didn't matter. Seriously, enough with the senior thing. He thought about his name, then asked if he could help her out. Our boy is head over heels, asked if he could carry her suitcase. She said no. He mentioned her destination and told her she was totally wrong. She was startled, asking if it wasn't Wilcox Street. He said sure, but not the one over in City J. He told her to check the GPS, but her battery was dead. He offered his. A few seconds later, she realized his battery was dead too. He asked if she was in a rush. She said unfortunately, the sooner, the better, or her father would scold her for taking so long. He offered his computer back in his room to look up the route. You silly dog, you cannot charge your phone at a vendor. But bringing her to your room, she asked if this dormitory was his designated place of solitude for practice. He was confused. It is just a regular dorm, but you cannot take a girl into a male dormitory like that. He looked around and managed to sneak her in. Inside, he asked what she wanted. She requested some spiritual green tea. He forgot she was one of those crazies. He said unfortunately, he only had some orange juice. She looked completely confused. Apparently, every practitioner drinks the spiritual stuff. She decided he must be doing some earthly life training, so she bowed, asking for that legendary orange juice while she searched online. He tells her the trip takes 5 hours. She asks if a taxi will even go that far. He says no, then she drops the question, so what are they going to do? I'm scratching my head here. When did those two even decide to travel together? She apologizes for not asking permission, tears welling up in her eyes. She admits she has a terrible sense of direction and is scared to death. He wants to help, but he's stuck. He's got class tomorrow afternoon. She asks a hypothetical, if he didn't have that class, would he go? Feeling awkward, he says yes, thinking there's zero chance of that actually happening. I mean, that class has been on the schedule for ages, right? He checks the weather, looks totally normal. She asks to use his computer. He grabs his phone and she starts digging. She's looking up everything, his profile, the professor, the exact class schedule. This girl is way more cunning than he ever imagined. She's already thinking, if a little accident happens to this professor, maybe he won't have class after all. Then she spots his notebook, noting down the recipe he posted in their group. She figures he's trying to level up his cooking, so she asks how many he can make. Seeing she's been tracking his recipe, he gets a bit nervous. He's genuinely afraid. He doesn't want her thinking he's some kind of maniac, so he claims he hasn't made any yet. She presses him. Is he trying to perfect the recipe before actually trying it? He just gives a thumbs up, thinking it's safer to just play along. To pivot, he claims he hasn't cooked it because he can't find the right ingredients. She steps closer, offering to ship him to boxes of ingredients the second she gets home. That's a move. He thanks her and asks for her documents to get her ticket booked. Watching her at the window, he thinks she's pretty and kind. It's just a real shame she's living in this world of illusions. Meanwhile, she fires up these self-made glasses that project her vision anywhere she wants. She scans the city, panning the view until she finds exactly who she's looking for. There he is, the professor, at home, just chatting with his daughter. She apologizes, whispering that he'll be compensated later, but today he's going to the hospital. Something invisible snags his leg, forcing him down hard. He hits the ground, hurting himself, just like that. Problem solved, at least in her twisted mind. She heads back, telling him to book himself a ticket to class. Probably won't happen. Right on cue, a notification hits the computer screen. Tomorrow's professor has been replaced. He's annoyed by the sudden change, but she's still fuming that it isn't fully settled. If she took out one, she'll take out the other. The replacement guy's out walking his dog when he feels a sudden chill. She's got the glasses on again, promising to make it up to him once this is all over. She walks back to the computer and he confirms her ticket is finally booked. Then, his phone buzzes with a new message. Classes are officially canceled tomorrow. He finds the whole thing incredibly strange while she just beams at him. The next day he suggested they get moving and she was already eager to find the temple. Our boy just shrugged. He told her they should reach the area first before worrying about that. On the train, he couldn't stop thinking she looked like a lead character from some romance manga. In any normal story, some thugs would have started trouble so he could show off his strength. But nope, he was just exhausted, sitting there fighting off a heavy, mind-numbing sleep. Nothing happened, but then she got tired and leaned her head right against his shoulder. He turned bright red, absolutely frozen, until they announced the train was finally arriving. She woke up a bit disoriented, and when he saw her drooling, he knew he found his weakness. She asked what the plan was, so he told her they would find a hotel and then hunt for the temple. At the front desk, he tried asking the receptionist if she knew anything about that mysterious place. She had no clue, but a girl with purple hair passing by overheard every single word. She stepped away to call someone, reporting that 2 outsiders were digging into the temple. The guy with the mustache asked about their power, and she said the girl seemed pretty strong. But the man, he looked totally ordinary. Still, it was strange she called him senior. He told her to stay sharp while wondering if the place's owner had finally shown up. After 60 years, walking through the city, they looked completely lost until she insisted she knew the way. She explained that when her mother was pregnant, she used her father's psychic powers to map the region. Our boy felt like he was losing his mind, so he asked if there was word from the northern guy. She said he sent messages, but he couldn't spare anyone to help them out right now. Honestly, it was fine. She told him that the two of them could handle this on their own. Song replied that if that was the case, he was definitely sticking with her until the end. They tracked down an old friend of Song's whose grandfather had lived in the area for decades. When they asked about the temple, the old man was impressed that young people even knew it existed. Soft Feather jumped in, hoping he could give them a lead on where to find it. He told them to head east into a small forest and look for a graveyard tucked away nearby. That was where the temple was hidden. She asked why it ended up in a cemetery. He explained it happened 60 years ago, back when everything was demolished for no clear reason. She said that made zero sense since the land was private property, but the man just sighed. He told her she was sharp, explaining that a mysterious foreigner had paid a massive fortune for it. That foreigner vanished after the purchase and never came back, so they assumed he died. The owner sold the land off to someone else, and that was when the destruction began. Soft Feather asked if the whole Wangbat family was really gone after that. The man said yes. Less than a year after the temple fell, half the family died off. She claimed it was obviously a curse, since the temple housed so many lingering souls. Anyone tied to destroying it was bound to face some kind of spiritual payback. The old man just chuckled and told her to stop buying into all those ridiculous myths. Our protagonist laughed at her theory and she felt pretty embarrassed in front of everyone. Later that night, he called for her, wondering why they were heading out to the temple so late. The man confirms it. Less than a year after the temple fell, half the family wiped out. She says the outcome was inevitable. Since the temple held so many souls, anyone tied to its destruction is cursed. The old man scoffs at this, telling her to wake up and stop chasing myths. The protagonist just laughs at her. She feels a little embarrassed by it all. 11 p.m. He calls for her, demanding to know why they have to go so late. He really doesn't want to leave his home. It's the last thing he needs. She told him it was way easier to spot spirits at night. She promised she would keep him safe, told him not to worry. Stopping by a tombstone, she mentioned this was the old temple site. She ordered them into position and popped open her suitcase. A golden glow spilled out as she started scattering charms everywhere. Our boy, half dead from sleep, wondered why they were playing Ghost Hunter. Meanwhile, in the cemetery, Soft Feather started a strange, rhythmic dance. He thought she looked amazing, even if it was a pretty unique hobby. While watching her performance, he reached for his phone to snap a pic. The phone hit the ground right on top of that herb from the group chat. While dancing, she noticed two spirits circling her. That was weird. Her father had only sealed one, so this was definitely not right. Both spirits lunged, so she snapped her talismans into action. She unleashed a wave of papers, totally sure she had the upper hand. But the spirits held their ground, so she tapped a skill from Butterfly Island. Once they hit the dirt, she figured it was time to lock the seal. Suddenly, one of the spirits made a desperate leap, straight for our guy. She screamed for Song, telling him to watch out as she jumped his way. Our boy was completely lost, still focused on that plant from the chat. Knowing how crazy she could get, he didn't want her using it for herbs. So he yanked it straight out of the ground to keep it hidden. But get this, a massive surge of golden energy cracked everything nearby. To him, though, it looked totally normal and he just asked what happened. Soft Feather was blown away by what she just witnessed. From her view, those two spirits didn't stand a chance against him. He'd perfectly timed his move, yanking the dragon plant at the ideal second. That was their only weak point and he'd hit it dead on. She looked at him differently now, eager to learn more from the senior. Still, she couldn't look weak, so she fired 2 more seals to finish it. As butterflies swirled around her, he wondered if those spirits were real. She thanked him, saying they would have escaped if not for his help. Our boy just laughed it off, but she insisted he take one of the spirits. He said they were too valuable, that she should keep the loot for herself. He really wanted nothing to do with spirits, but she wasn't having it. She insisted since he'd been such a huge help, he had to take one. Seeing she wouldn't budge, he figured a sealed spirit wouldn't be any trouble. He finally accepted and the two of them started heading back. A man watching from the shadows thought he was lucky he didn't jump in. The boy was a hell of a lot stronger than he'd ever imagined. But now he had a real headache. How was he getting those spirits back? That guy wasn't alone, though. Someone else was watching from a tree. He signaled a contact that the spirit sealing had been a total success. Still, he was dying to know more about this mysterious Song Chunggang. And just who was the guy hunting them down? Things were getting interesting and dangerous real fast. The next day, it's time for Soft Feather to head home. Our lead asks if she'll be alright. She nods, saying the airport is an easy trip. She thanks him, then leans in to ask for his address. She really wants to send over those boxes of ingredients as a thank you. He waves it off, but just to get her moving, he scribbles down his number. Watching her leave, he breathes a sigh of relief. Finally, the chaos is over. Little did he know, he's just stepped into something way worse. She returns to the group, telling them all that senior song from the Jangang region is incredible. The guy from Northern River looks impressed and offers her a quick congratulation. Back to reality, our boy is just trying to survive another day of class. He's wearing that spirit necklace, noticing a strange, lingering coldness against his skin. But ever since he put it on, his memory feels different, almost perfect. He remembers every single word from the lecture, clear as day. Thinking back to what she said about the necklace being powerful, he starts to wonder, could those crazies in the group actually be telling the truth? Suddenly, the classroom door swings open and someone calls for student Song. He looks up, totally confused, wondering who could be looking for him. The bearded man just beams at him, says there are 2 massive deliveries waiting. It's a VIP shipment, so he needs a signature before they can release it. He's thrown off until it hits him. He knows exactly who sent this. He asks where the items are and the guy points toward the main entrance. He heads down the corridor, catching a glimpse of security standing guard. Seeing 2 gigantic boxes, he knows for a fact this isn't anything normal. With 4 professional bodyguards hovering nearby, he feels completely out of place. He awkwardly asks if this much security is normal. The guy says the sender paid extra. He checks the shipping document and sure enough, it is from Soft Feather. The guard says his piece and heads out, leaving our boy alone with the haul. He pries the boxes open, knowing they have to hold the secret recipe ingredients. Inside, he finds a variety of herbs, every single one preserved in perfect condition. He stares at them, wondering if these really could strengthen bones and muscles. Like something out of a legend, he's starting to get genuinely curious. He drags everything back to his room, realizing he's going to need a furnace. A real furnace is impossible here, so he has to get creative with a substitute. He eyes a basic frying pan. It feels ridiculous, but he has no other choice. Looking at his limited setup, it seems like his only real option. He lays out the herbs, trying to make sense of the complex prep work. Soft Feather wrote down every step, so he just has to follow the guide. Some parts of the process are confusing, but he avoids asking the group. He's trying to stay away from those crazies, not get sucked in deeper. He fires up the electric stove, praying it doesn't blow the fuse or start a fire. Seeing the smoke rise, he thinks this is too easy, just like boiling pasta. The recipe warns about precise temperatures, but he's trusting his electric stove. He figures since it's modern tech, he probably won't run into any issues. The only weird thing is that it actually looks and smells like real broth. He drops in another herb, just wanting a shred of proof that these powers are real. He stared at the soup, nothing, still just normal broth, strange. Then the necklace started glowing. He saw reactions kicking off. The ancient recipe was actually working. He needed more heat. If he pushed the temperature, maybe the dewgrass would finally react. It hit the water and began to dissolve, following the steps perfectly. With all these modern tools around, he started experimenting. Honestly, he cared less about the final product and more about the craft. Ingredient number 41, the mixture was coming together at last. But the moment it dropped in, black smoke erupted everywhere. Half the liquid vanished instantly, replaced by a nauseating, thick stench. He remembered that northern guy from Soft Feather talking about failures. Practice makes perfect, right? His friends wouldn't be back for 2 hours. Plenty of time to keep grinding through the rest of these ingredients. He tried again, but things kept going sideways. The ingredients were splitting apart instead of fusing, pure chaos. He cranked up the pressure in the pan. The mixture let out a high whistle. Then boom, another explosion, another wave of that foul, wretched smell. He scrambled to open the window. It was absolutely unbearable. But when he lifted the lid, wait, this actually looked right. The recipe called for a black, gooey, stinking mess, and he had it. After all this, he wasn't about to back down now. He had to try it. Phone in hand, ready to dial emergency if his heart stopped. He took a spoonful, telling himself it was just black sesame paste. Big mistake. It tasted like pure, liquid fire hitting his tongue. It scorched his throat and he reached for the phone, almost calling for help. But then, something shifted inside him. As the paste settled in his gut, a rush of raw power took over. Like his body was being flooded with energy, strengthening every fiber. At the same time, it felt like the filth was being purged from his pores. Nearby, some girls were chatting by the window, distracted by a guy walking past. That guy took his shirt off and the girls went crazy. They were whispering about his perfect 10 out of 10 physique. Meanwhile, he was staring at the weird sticky gunk all over his own skin. It hit him, all his impurities were literally sweating out of him. He looked down, shocked. He had a legit, chiseled set of abs now. Even his neck pain from all that gaming vanished and his sight, unreal. He looked at a trash can way off in the distance. He could see a fly on it. His skin looked so clean and healthy, it was honestly kind of scary. How was he supposed to explain this? His friends would think it was just skin cream. Maybe those crazy people were actually telling the truth. This realization hit him hard. What was he supposed to do now? He could just ignore it all and live a quiet, normal life. Or he could follow those guys and walk a path full of real danger. But get this, a dangerous life is way better than a boring one. He decided right then it was worth it. For the first time, he felt ready. Song Shuheng decides it is finally time to speak up in the 9 provinces group. Stressed by a mountain of schoolwork, he sends a greeting to seniors Saw Feather and Northern River. They do not recognize him at first, even as he mentions he is the guy surrounded by geese. Northern River wonders if the boy finally discovered the truth, while Song thanks Soft Feather for the ingredients. With that mention of the ingredients, she finally realizes exactly who he is. He explains he was added to the group by mistake by that guy from Yellow Mountain. Northern River asks why he chose this moment to finally introduce himself. Shuheng explains the situation. He received the ingredients from Soft Feather and managed to brew the potion. And just like that, he became much stronger. Northern River is impressed he actually succeeded on his first attempt. Either the kid has incredible luck, or fate is acting in a very strange way. Shuheng admits he was not even sure it worked, but his body feels significantly stronger. Northern River asks how many sacred furnaces he burned through and how long it took. Confused, Shuheng says he just used an electric stove and tried the process exactly once. Northern River is in complete disbelief. It is impossible to succeed on a first attempt, especially since he himself has failed at this process countless times. He starts asking about this electric stove, wondering if it is some new high-end tool for alchemy. Even Soft Feather is getting curious now. Shuheng tells them it is just a regular Midea brand stove that anyone has at home. Northern River wants to know what kind of legendary alchemist pot he used. Shuheng replies it was just a regular soup pot. Northern River is furious and asks if he is allowed to start cursing in the group chat. After a bit of ranting, he tags the medicine master, who asks Shuheng about the specific process. You can really feel the tension in the chat right here. Our boy is finally comfortable chatting, so he starts breaking down the steps. The alchemy master keeps questioning every single detail of his method. Shuheng explains he added water simply to avoid burning things at the bottom of the pot. Northern River finds the whole thing bizarre. He starts imagining Shuheng as some secret genius swordsman, with a strange obsession for household appliances. It makes no sense, yet Shuheng keeps explaining until he hits the 41st step. That is the point where the water usually starts to evaporate. Everyone in the group agrees this is exactly where they usually fail. Shuheng says he just added more water to stop the evaporation. That catches everyone's attention instantly, as no one had ever thought of such a simple idea. The medicine master decides he will practice with these new ideas and return with the results. Meanwhile, Northern River warns him that the path he is following is actually quite dangerous. Shuheng stays quiet, mostly because he has been busy laughing at these fools lately. Northern River explains the choices ahead: join a formal sect or walk the solitary path. Soft Feather offers to help him get into the Butterfly Spirit sect. Shuheng asks what the real difference is between the two options. Northern River breaks it down: being free means doing whatever you want. But it is a much harder road. Joining a sect has its perks, but you get pushed around from place to place. Shuheng is not keen on joining a sect, mostly because he does not want to leave his home. That is just not the life he is looking for right now. But he said he'll complete all 18 movements. If he can't finish it, he's done. He asked how free cultivators train, and Soft Feather explained the ropes. Apparently, members help each other out with tasks, and in exchange, they earn some solid rewards. Our boy is hyped. This is exactly the path he's been looking for. He posts in the chat that he's officially going free cultivator. Northern River jumps in, offering to guide him, and honestly, he's stoked. He's already counting on getting some basic gear from the guy. But then Soft Feather interrupts, cutting in with her own plans. She's got the perfect basic techniques ready to pass on. Why? Because she's dying to head back to that city. She wants a few days to just have some fun. Then the alchemy guy chimes in. He wants a live demo of that recipe in exchange for resources. Northern River is actually getting a little jealous here. He had to struggle for every bit of this, and here's our guy getting it handed over. The protagonist figures his master probably wants that plant too. Before he knows it, the guy promises to be there first thing in the morning. Song feels a bit awkward. He's supposed to be in school tomorrow. But honestly, he decides to just skip class. He's feeling pretty good. He expected a brutal road, but everyone is actually helping him out. He asks if it's cool to share that successful recipe liquid with his family. Northern River gives him the green light, totally touched by the gesture. Most people would keep that power for themselves, but not this kid. The guy starts laying down the ground rules for sharing. Then he pivots, asking if our boy has felt any weird side effects yet. Song says he's fine, but then the guy drops a wild question. He asks if Song has a girlfriend. Song is totally thrown off, just saying he's a chill university freshman. The guy keeps digging into his love life, which is just getting embarrassing. Then Northern River finally explains the catch to this whole thing. If you consume that liquid without burning off massive amounts of energy, you explode. Since he hasn't been spending that energy with anyone, he survived. Song's soul leaves his body. They just basically called him a virgin in front of everyone. Immortal Trigger Master asks Northern River why he pushed the free path. The guy lays it out straight. Song is already 18, so no serious sect is going to take him in now. But as a free cultivator, he can actually help the kid level up. That's the plan to get him strong. Back in his room, Song gets a call from his buddy, Tubo. They're talking about some guy who's raking in cash, inviting him out to a party. He decides to head out, walking through the neighborhood. He thinks he's close to the spot, cutting through a familiar alleyway. He was glad those local punks had cleared out, but then something stops him cold. Naturally, there's a whole group of delinquents surrounding some poor girl. The Rainbow Hair Quartet needs to be locked up, seriously. Song doesn't even hesitate, stepping right up to let them know he isn't watching this. The lead punk tries to talk to the girl, but Song cuts him off. He grabs the guy by the hair, hoisting him up with ease. It feels strange, the guy's so light, like a straw doll. Thugs charge with bats, but Song doesn't even blink. He just grabs one thug and chucks him right at the others. To down, already out cold, the rest are genuinely terrified. He tells them to vanish, and they scramble off, dragging their buddies. Song reaches out to the girl, but she ignores his hand completely. Don't meddle, she snaps. He thinks, man, she's really something else. Whatever, he's got places to be, he can't be late for his friend. Back in class, he's wondering when this medicine master will actually show up. His friend wakes up, asking about some massive noise he just heard. A wall shatters, and through the smoke, a guy with pink pins appears. His friend is losing it, asking what on earth is happening right now. Dark circles under his eyes, the guy calls out, introducing himself as the master. Song stares at him, realizing in an instant, this guy is a total freak. Out in the hall, the master explains he used a tracker to find him. He fires up a technique to hunt down the body-tempering liquid, locking onto Song. Song jokes that he didn't expect to meet Vegeta in the flesh today. The guy claims he looks like this because he flew here on a sword. Song can't help it. Why are you wearing so much eyeliner, man? It's not eyeliner, he insists, just deep shadows from staying up for days. Song is shook. How is the cool, collected pro from the chat a lunatic? They head to the dorms, and the master eyes his setup with pure judgment. Are you actually trying to refine pills in a room like this? He scoffs at the regular pot and water. This is all you have? He wants a demo, but Song says he has afternoon classes to attend. No worries, the master says, asking who exactly is teaching the afternoon session. Song gets this sudden, really bad case of deja vu. You aren't planning to send the professor to the hospital, are you? The guy gives a thumbs up. Great minds really do think alike. Don't sweat it, he adds, I'll just break a leg or two. Song is done. Soft Feather already hospitalized a professor. Enough is enough. The master looks embarrassed, muttering that he already saw that perfect strategy. He suggests a small catastrophe to get class cancelled. Classic move. Song sighs, I'll just ask for leave, please, let's go somewhere else. He's genuinely terrified this weirdo is going to wreck his entire campus. He suddenly remembers that plant he found earlier. He asks the master if he still needs it, and the guy lights up. He's found some already, but the quality is absolute garbage. Song points to the one he has, and the master freezes. He's stunned. He didn't even sense the thing was right there. It's been growing in a haunted spot for 60 years, at least. Song offers it up, and the master confirms its incredible value. Those two boxes from before, not even worth a tenth of this plant. Song tells him it is fine, he would have been lost without it. Without sharing that recipe for free, he never would have found it. The master accepted, but warned the plant was far too valuable. He insisted Song, being a beginner, should use it for himself. Still, Song felt embarrassed receiving such a gift without giving back. He knew he had to bring something to the table eventually. The master, wanting to inspire him, tagged the silent monk for help. He requested advanced, rare techniques from the Northern River archives. Meanwhile, Northern River teased Soft Feather about being seduced by Song. She wanted to help so badly, even her father stopped interfering. Saber had rejoined the group, but the Grandmaster stayed quiet. He just sent a smiley face and a sword emoji into the chat. Saber took the hint immediately and said he would back off. Out of nowhere, the master walked to the window and swung it open. Song watched, confused, as the master raised his fingers to the sky. He explained he had sent their location and the items were coming. Song asked if the master was coming to meet them himself. The master laughed. No, the monk was sending them via flying sword. And honestly, they were already on their way. Then, he told Song it was time to practice body tempering liquid. As they walked the streets, Song worried about where they earned money. The master shrugged, asking if Song really had those kinds of problems. He promised that once Song mastered pill making, the gold would roll in. Suddenly, the master paused, though he brushed off Song's concerned look. He admitted that every time he went out, people followed him. A stalker nearby trembled, terrified by the sheer aura of that lunatic. He couldn't believe how strong the master was, yet he needed that spirit. Without warning, the master stopped in front of a perfect house. He declared it theirs, but Song panicked. He had zero rental money. The master ignored the protest and marched up to ring the bell. A man opened the door, assuming they were from a delivery service. The master calmly replied they were actually looking for a rental. The owner snapped that he hated living with other people. The master just smiled, said that made it even better for them. He told the man to pack his bags and leave the place. Naturally, the man kicked them out, refusing any amount of cash. An hour later, they were moving in, so you know how that ended. The master clearly offered an amount the guy couldn't possibly refuse. Time to work, Song explained the recipe, adding water to boil. The master watched closely, baffled by how Song knew the steps. He wondered how an amateur could refine pills with such logic. Maybe the kid actually had some hidden talent for this job. A few hours in, Song yelled a warning. The pot exploded instantly. A thick, foul-smelling smoke filled the room as they rushed over. The master used his energy to pull the substance toward his palm. He felt it, only half the potency, but a success nonetheless. On the flip side, this stuff is actually pretty perfect for beginners starting their cultivation path. The protagonist asked if it helped him lock down the formula and the master nodded. He confirmed it did, but warned there was still plenty more to study. Then he turned to Solon. He told him he would need his help for a few days, and our boy said it was his pleasure to assist. He asked about those items the monk was sending over. The master explained they would take a little longer to arrive than expected. Solon mentioned he would head back to the dorms, but the master interrupted. He handed over the key to the upstairs floor and told him he was free to stay there. Our boy thanked him, stepping out onto the street. He thought it was the perfect solution since he really needed some privacy. Then he spotted the same girl surrounded by maniacs in the alley again. He felt a weird sense of deja vu, so he moved in to help. But this time, she noticed him approaching before he could even reach them. She grabbed the delinquent by the neck right as he was leaning in for a forced kiss. Honestly, these guys seriously belong in a jail cell. She didn't hesitate and headbutted him hard. That enraged thug screamed that she was going to pay for that stunt. But she just kicked him into the ground and tossed the rest of the gang aside like trash. Solon watched in total disbelief. Now he finally understood why she got so mad at him for interfering earlier. She shot him a cold look and turned away. Our boy couldn't help but wonder why this girl was always ending up surrounded by these kinds of losers. Back at the dormitory, a guy named Momo was chatting inside, but Solon didn't recognize the other voice. It was a guy named Zuzu. He dressed and acted just like a woman. But he wasn't into men. He was bragging about going out on a date with a girl named Xiaomei. The guy with glasses was floored by the news, and Zuzu started rolling on the floor, saying he felt totally shy and excited about it. The only real issue was that he was terrified about the kiss tomorrow, feeling completely insecure. The guy with glasses admitted he had zero experience, but the blonde guy jumped in, claiming he was the only one who could help. He suggested they should practice a slurpy kiss, so he would be ready for the big day. The guy was totally shocked and asked if he heard that right, but Zuzu lunged at him, shouting that it was time to practice. Naturally, his friend shoved him off and started crying. Solon was outside, listening to all this absolute madness. He wondered if Momo was about to lose his purity. He didn't know if he should keep lurking outside or step in to save his friend. If he walked in now, he might just interrupt something. Right then, Zuzu threw the door open. Looking fired up, he came face to face with Solon, who remarked that they seemed to have a really close relationship. Zuzu introduced himself and mentioned he was Momo's childhood friend. Solon felt pretty awkward and introduced himself as the roommate. Hearing that, Zuzu asked if he had met anyone strange lately. Someone had been going around asking everyone for information about him yesterday. Solon realized it might be someone trailing the medicine master, and now they were digging into his life. But the blonde guy shrugged, saying maybe he had just annoyed the wrong crowd. Entering the room, Solon saw his friend slumped on the floor, muttering about being tainted. Solon told him it was alright, then asked if this Zuzu was actually a girl or a boy. His friend was keeping tight-lipped, so Song just told him to go lie down and rest. Meanwhile, he paced by the window, eagerly waiting for that flying sword delivery to finally show up. Momo popped in, saying they were hitting the town today and invited him to a party. He really needed the distraction, just needed to forget everything that had gone down. With that, he waved goodbye, telling Momo he'd be waiting for him a minute later. Suddenly, the master appeared out of nowhere, announcing that the delivery was about to arrive. He rushed to the window, the master gesturing for him to look up at the sky. A sword was literally flying toward them, but seeing it, Song immediately asked where the manuals were. The master popped open a secret compartment at the bottom, pointing inside. Song found it weird. It looked way too small to hold enough information to actually teach him anything. But it was just a tiny USB drive. Our boy was totally dismayed. He couldn't believe this legendary cultivator was so modern. A USB drive? Seriously? Song asked how he was supposed to send it back, but the master told him not to worry. He plugged the drive into a computer and told Song to take a look at the files. Inside were two folders full of techniques, the files just labeled 1 through 18. Song thought that was way too normal, but he opened them and saw pictures. It was a monk practicing the moves, and he thought it all looked way too simple. The master reminded him that the sequence was the real key. The name didn't mean anything. Still, our boy couldn't help but imagine himself in combat, shouting out moves like Technique PNG-03. The master told him to forget the names and focus. He would explain the real important parts. First, he had to establish a solid foundation before even thinking about internal practice. That was where he'd meditate, learning to gather and overflow his energy deep inside. With enough practice, he'd finally enter the true cultivation ranks and start his long ascent. He had to reach that first mortal stage, no shortcuts allowed. As he studied the technique, Song suddenly felt his surroundings shift and found himself on a lawn. A figure of Buddha was right there, practicing the movements clearly in front of him. He wasn't sure if it was some trick from the master or the person who created the technique. But he knew one thing: he had to take advantage of this moment. Just as quickly, he snapped back into the room and told the master what he saw. The master explained it was just a simple illusion that even low-level people could fall into. When he concentrated deeply enough, he could enter that trance-like state of hypnosis. Song thought it was incredible, like having a grandmaster training right there with him. After watching those movements multiple times, he had memorized everything. But he was completely drained. He told the master, who just nodded, it was time to put it into practice. They headed out to the yard, and he began running through the forms. The master was right there, dropping tips and correcting his posture every time he slipped up. Still, Song explained he didn't feel any different. There was no surging energy, nothing. The master told him to relax, control his breathing, and really put force into every single blow. Song took a breath and concentrated, delivering a brutal knee strike and a punch that actually emitted a spark of energy. The master gave him a nod. He'd successfully tapped into a bit of spiritual chi. He told him to move to the second sequence, and they kept pushing through the training. The master figured Song's energy would burn out fast. Since he'd only consumed one body-tempering liquid, he shouldn't have much gas left in the tank, but Song was fired up. He declared he would complete all 18 movements, convinced that if he couldn't, he'd never make it. She counters, claiming she just saw a cute spot and wants to check it out. He should have given up. He was only on the 5th movement. But halfway through, he felt his energy bottoming out fast. He tried for the 6th and just collapsed. The medicine master watched him struggle and wondered if he should intervene. Seeing Song's raw determination, he finally spoke up, "Open your mouth." He fed him more refining liquid, and Song felt the power surge back. Even bone-tired, he found the drive to keep pushing himself. He practiced until the end, finally nailing all 18 movements. He felt powerful despite being completely drained. The master immediately told him to start the next technique fast. This one was meant to clear distractions and focus his mental energy. Song knew this would reveal his true self and wondered what he would see. Strangely, the vision looked exactly like his normal self. He wondered if that was just because he was still an ordinary mortal. He tried to concentrate harder, pushing energy to his heart, but he got dizzy and hit the floor. The master explained he had just burned through too much energy. Song asked why his true self looked identical to his normal form. The master explained That this happens when someone is genuinely good, their true self doesn't need to change because their spirit is already pure. He was impressed that Song had no blemishes on his soul. Time to stop, he said. Song thanked him, and the master vanished, leaving Song stuck on the ground, unable to move later. He finally dragged himself to his room, but when he opened the door, there was his cousin. She spotted the recipe and her eyes went wide. She asked him point blank, "Are you trying to kill yourself?" He said it wasn't like that, struggling to find the right words. She sat down, demanding a real explanation. The fool admitted he joined some weird group that sent him this formula. He took it just to make sure it wasn't actually deadly poison. She said he seemed honest, but warned him, tell no one else to take it. He invited her to dinner with his friends, but she wasn't interested. She left, and he walked out at 6 p.m. He was meeting the others, and the first guy there asked, "What happened to Momo?" The poor guy looked like he was dying. He saw Momo crying, then his friend brought up a sports event. A 5-kilometer race that was going to exhaust everyone. Luckily, the only one picked from their group was Song Swan. He asked why he was chosen to run 5 kilometers, but his friend shrugged. He was picked, so he had to run, but he figured since he started cultivating, it wouldn't be a problem. He raised a can, promising to win it for the group. Hours later, everyone was passed out. Alcohol didn't even touch him anymore, so he headed back to his room to check the group chat. People were obsessing over a white monarch about to reappear after a century and a half. Song finds it all pretty strange, especially since even the Northern River guy seems spooked. That crazy saber guy even claimed he was heading into isolated cultivation and refused any contact. But everyone in the know, they realized he was just terrified of the white monarch. Realizing it was a terrible idea to mess with such a dangerous man, he just decided to hit the hay. Meanwhile, back in the city, some mysterious figure is leaping across the rooftops. They sneak right into Song's room, where he's fast asleep on his bunk bed. The intruder spots that necklace on his neck and lets out a whisper, "This is definitely the guy." They think this score is going to be way easier than they expected. They wind up for the strike, but suddenly an intense aura ripples outward. The blow hits the seal, and the weapon just ricochets off like it hit a wall. In that exact heartbeat, the intruder feels dizzy, like some kind of poison just hit their system. They start hacking up blood, realizing they've got no choice but to retreat to their master. Meanwhile, that master is cooling his heels in a hotel, waiting for his lackey to deliver the goods. The lackey finally knocks on the door, and the master tells him to get inside. The second that door swings open, the lackey just collapses, completely spent. The master demands to know what happened, and the lackey looks up with haunting purple eyes. He barely manages to choke out that he's been poisoned. Alarmed by the intensity of the toxin, the master scrambles to pull out an antidote pill. He's starting to think Song Shuang is way more dangerous than he first imagined. The real problem, even his high-grade antidote isn't doing a single thing. Panicked that Song might track the poison's trail right back to them, he decides to bolt. He leaps out of the hotel window while our boy wakes up, feeling totally peaceful. It is 5 in the morning when he catches a weird, metallic scent of blood in the air. Since his door is standing wide open, he spots a blade on the floor. It's clearly a sword, and he realizes this wasn't just some run-of-the-mill thief. An ordinary criminal wouldn't even know how to handle a weapon like that. He starts to wonder if someone is actually trying to end his life. He runs through the possibilities. If it were about the medicine master, they would have targeted the master, not him. He thinks back to everything that went down with Soft Feather and that strange item he received. Could the person she mentioned back then be the one behind this attack? As he walks through the dorms, a huge guy comes sprinting over, shouting his name. The guy asks if he ever tracked down the person who was hunting him. Our boy shakes his head, and the guy hands over all the intel he gathered from the other students. They had been asking around, looking for a specific target. He stands about 1.83 meters tall, has a thick accent from a nearby city, and fits a basic profile. Our boy pieces it together. This guy was spotted lurking near the temple. Now watch this, things are about to get even weirder. He is heading to the medicine master's place when a girl suddenly comes walking out. She grabs this alchemy pot from the back of a car and kicks it, making it expand right before his eyes. He finds it beyond odd. There is no way this girl is just a normal person. She calls him by name and tells him to come give her a hand, acting like a total lady. He asks how she even knows who he is. She explains she's got a close relationship with the medicine master, so it's only natural she'd know him. He jokes if she's the master's wife or something, and she shuts that down immediately. For now, she's just a disciple, but with the medicine master in town, everything is changing. She rushes over with the stove to help, but suddenly, the master appears. Thick smoke fills the air as he steps out, saying he has been waiting. He asks Song about last night's attack, finally understanding the truth. Song confirms it, showing the blade the assassin left behind in his room. Sniffing the lingering blood, the master notes the killer has struck many times. He asks how Song feels, and Song, showing that twisted side, admits he feels excited. The girl and the master just stare, taken aback by how peculiar he really is. The master reveals he placed a barrier on the boy, a poison trap. Anyone attacking him would be infected, which is exactly why Song survived. He apologizes for dragging Song into this mess, but Song says it is fine. Song survived after all, and then he reveals the ghost spirit to them. He suspects people are hunting it, and the medicine master agrees it is possible. The girl offers to wipe out anyone who comes for it if Song hands it over. The master bonks her on the head, warning she would only hinder the boy's cultivation. Song asks if there are any techniques to track those stalking his steps. The master says it is simple and starts digging through files on a scholar named Shenggong. Armoy asks who that is, and the master explains he is known as a human nuclear bomb. Apparently, someone once threw a bomb at him and the man just survived it. The master finds the records on using mental energy to detect followers. Song has a sudden idea: if they are poisoned, they will need an antidote. They will have to hit up herb shops, and the medicine master agrees. He lists the 4 rare ingredients needed and hands them over to Song. Meanwhile, over on Butterfly Spirit Island, Soft Feather is scanning the cultivators' news. A story about a floating island in Donghai catches her eye. She is already dreaming of a fun trip, thinking about heading out there. But out of nowhere, her father appears, asking where she thinks she is going. She points out the cute island, begging her father to come along. He agrees, but only after she masters the contract formations. She dashes off, pumped to get it done, while her father is left wondering. He stands there, scratching his head, curious if she even has friends. She pushes, asking her father to take her along. He agrees, but only if she masters those contract formations first. She's thrilled, running off to start immediately. Her father watches her go. He finds it all pretty strange, wondering if she even has friends who like this stuff. If you're enjoying the drama, hit that like button to help me keep bringing these stories. Don't forget to tap the bell so you never miss a beat. Catch you later.